Why even study a postgraduate degree in the US or UK? And the important thing first is really just to look at global rankings of universities overall. And you can see in this, most of the world's top universities are concentrated primarily in the US with some schools in the UK. And we're starting to see a little bit more growth in Asian universities, particularly in Singapore and in China, where both the business world is growing as well. And of course, with that, the talent is increasing too. The benefit of these universities is oftentimes you'll see the world's best and most talented folks coming there to actually share their knowledge with the students that are there. And this gives you access to both a network that is going to really expand your own opportunities, but they'll also give you an education that is truly world-class. There are things that you can't just learn simply off of the internet. They're really the lived experience and knowledge of people who are pushing the frontiers in their field. By getting exposure to perspectives that are just beyond what you're usually around, you're also getting to meet the rest of the world. So you get to take classes with the people who are just like you, have very big ambitious dreams, are looking to become world-class level talent themselves. And this really helps broaden your horizon and opens you to new relationships and opportunities that will continue to serve you throughout your career and likely your life. And it looks different for each field, but we'll talk roughly just about what you can expect when you go through that application process. And of course, we'll talk lastly on how Crimson has helped numerous students and how Crimson can potentially help you achieve your dream of attending a world-class university. You get the global reputation. Of course, everybody likes that. You get access to career opportunities and people that likely you would have never been able to meet without going through such an elite institution. Of course, there's location benefits. Many of the universities and the top universities are located in the biggest cities and the most lucrative opportunities in those cities like Silicon Valley, New York, London, and then of course the alumni network. The three big reasons why people pursue a master's degree is it deepens their knowledge in an area so that you get a better understanding of your field. Unlike undergraduate, when you're getting a master's degree, you're actually picking one subject to just spend all of your time on. And that level of focus is how you end up specializing in your career. Some people also use a master's degree to pivot from what other career they're in order to get to a new career. Sometimes when you're trying to make a big pivot, it's really helpful to add the educational credential to your resume to be able to signal your growing expertise in that place. And then lastly, it is to earn more money. So obviously, it's not just that you're paying for knowledge, you're also paying for an improvement in your resume. On cost, we actually see UK and broadly the rest of Europe, you can expect a degree range costing between 25 to 50K overall in a year. When you look at the master's level, it's about the same. You see a bigger difference in the US when it comes to the MBA. Some of the top universities, students are spending about $100,000 a year to study abroad. Pursuing this degree comes with a pretty significant payback. Expected 10-year ROI on a Harvard Business School degree is more than 3x your initial investment. So you're already tripling your initial investment by the 10-year mark. And not only is that from a financial perspective, that number is ignoring all of the different community aspects, networking aspects that tend to come with attending such a school. And of course, not everybody can attend Harvard Business School, but even for a mid-tier program like Arizona State University, the 10-year ROI on that investment is about 2.5x. So essentially, you're more than doubling your investment even by attending an MBA program at Arizona State. What are the top programs? Because at the end of the day, Crimson isn't focused on just getting you into a postgraduate program. Our expertise is entirely built on how we get our students to the top programs in the world and build a truly impressive world-class network. By and large, the top MBA programs are based in the US. You'll see here in this chart right here that when you're thinking about your MBA programs, you're going to usually be thinking about what are the M7 programs. The M7 programs are the first 7 programs that you see here listed. Actually, Columbia University should be number 7 here, and then everything else would move down 1. But yeah, usually the M7 is even broken apart in a separate tier with Stanford and Harvard as clear number 1 options. Most people would say Stanford is the number 1 business school in the world, and then you start to go down into Wharton, MIT, Columbia as like your second tier. In other categories of schools, it's quite similar with the schools that you'll generally see. The UK tends to have a bit more appearance for outside of the MBA, so natural sciences, computer sciences. We're generally still looking at Harvard, MIT, Berkeley, computer science is similar across that board. Why don't we actually talk about the application process itself? Obviously, these schools are not easy to get into and have pretty lengthy components into what is required in the process. So the first thing that you have in your application process are what we call the fixed components, right? They're not as variable. Whatever GPA you have from your undergrad and where you went to undergrad, you really can't do much to change those. We have a lot of programs for students who are currently in college to be able to help them pick the right courses, pick the right experiences in undergrad so that they have as good of a GPA as possible so they can then target these top 7 schools. But where you'll see some ability to make a difference is usually most of these schools will actually take another standardized exam. So for US MBAs, the GMAT is typically preferred. Most top MBA programs prefer the GMAT. Of course, more and more students these days are applying with the GRE. The GRE is generally then accepted by most other programs. So your rule of thumb is if I'm applying to a competitive postgraduate program in either the US or UK, I need to be prepared to take one of these exams. So this is where Crimson can really help you both tell your story as well as where you can help shore some of your weaknesses up if you have some in your GPA or your test scores, which is a work experience and extracurricular activities component. What these programs are typically looking for in work experience is, are you a leader in the field that you want to get into? But if you're looking at a computer science, are you someone who is doing projects on the side outside of work and designing new solutions and software that are being used by people? If you are in the health side, are you doing research with different professors? Are you doing different research positions outside at different labs? They really want to see that you're not just only applying to this program because it'll look good on a resume or it looks cool. They want to see you have actually done a lot of demonstrated expertise and experience in the field that you're going into. Because ultimately, these top programs, they're making an investment into you as well. And they want to know that they're investing in the right people who will produce the right outcomes for their career path. These programs are only at the top of these lists because they tend to produce alumni who are leading the field in their careers after they graduate. So they want to see, are you someone who's already starting to do this and this postgraduate degree is only going to take you up another level? This is where a lot of people get tripped up is, who do you ask for recommendation? So when you're building your applications, you want to make sure that you're picking a diverse set of recommenders. You do not want your recommenders to say the same thing about you. If you're applying for natural sciences, you don't want just a bunch of faculty and professors that have taught you before just to talk about how good of a student you are. You want to make sure you get a professor. You want to get someone who's maybe done some volunteer experience with you. You want to get someone who's seen you in the workforce. And you want them to all tell a little bit of a different story about why you're such a special candidate. Because all of those voices are going to come together to show you as a full holistic candidate to the application committee that, hey, this person knows how to be a good leader. This person knows how to study. They're good in the classroom. They support others. I'm hearing it not just from them, but also from the people that they trust. And that's a big stamp of approval that goes a really long way on your application process. We've seen so many students that maybe don't have the best experience, they don't have the best test scores, but they have some powerful recommendation letters that were selected very carefully, and those recommenders were coached on exactly what they needed to say to be able to move the needle forward, which is super great to see. This is really important at the postgraduate level because you don't want to just tell stories about who you are. You need to tell this admission committee why you are the perfect fit for them, why you going to their program is going to make both sides really benefit. Why would Harvard want to see you, let's say Andrea, as a potential candidate? Because they don't want you to take that alumni name and not do something special with it. They want to know your goals. Usually for these essays, you want to tell a really big and powerful impact story that they can see and be excited about your vision for you as a leader. And you want to pick essay topics that aren't just super high and mighty. You want to connect them to something that that's really real, really genuine and authentic to you, that logically makes sense for, okay, I actually see this person doing that thing. And for different programs, they'll look for different things on that essay. Stanford will look for something different from Harvard. An MBA program is going to look at something different from a master's in finance. That's really where that research and that trusted advisor come very handy, because they're able to walk you through step by step. Hey, this program likes this thing. This program likes people from this background. This is how you want to tell your story for MIT. That's really where we see a ton of room for improvement for applications, because we're able to bring that level of expertise and drive that overall into the application process. Mostly you'll see a lot of interviews in PhD applications and MBA applications, some master's applications from some scholarship applications. These days, we're seeing a lot of different interview styles. Sometimes we see panel interviews where you're in a group of maybe 4 or 5 people and you're interviewing with all of them. Sometimes you're in a group with other candidates. Sometimes you're in a one-on-one. Sometimes you even have to just record a video essay. As distance learning becomes more and more popular and people are using a bit more AI to actually sift through the applications, we're seeing more and more programs use the interview format in some capacity in order to see, is this person genuine in how they're presenting themselves? Obviously, they want to know that you're not just behind some computer using AI or ChatGPT to do all of these things. They want to see your ability to actually articulate your ideas in a way that feels authentic and genuine and gives a lot of passion. And so you want to make sure that you practice a lot with these interviews, because they can be quite stressful when, especially if you're a non-native English speaker, where you may actually forget what to say or forget how to tell that story in the right way. So it's really important that you practice as much as you can on these interviews and that you know what the questions that they're going to ask. They tend to use a lot of the same questions. If you can get your answers down really well prepared before, you'll be able to shine through on your interview itself. One thing that we really coach our clients here at Crimson is developing their personal brand. What does that mean? It means every single person brings a unique value to the field that they're in, to the communities that they're a part of. And it's your responsibility as a developing professional to figure out what is that thing? What is your brand? When someone asks you, okay, who is Valeria? You need to be able to tell them, this is who I am. These are the values that guide me. This is my mission. And this is where I want to see my vision grow. And that's a really hard question. You try to tell anybody, ask any person on the street, what's your brand? It's very difficult to say in 2 to 3 sentences. We coach you on being able to develop that idea of your brand and then being able to communicate it in your essays, in your application, on your resume. And that's a really important way, because when these admissions committees are going through everyone's applications, they're just reading so much information that they're really only thinking about, okay, oh yeah, who is that person that was the education technology guy that's using AI to teach young people how to read at a faster rate? They need to know how to say that type of sentence in less than a minute so that other people know exactly, oh yeah, that sounds like a good person for our program. We should definitely bring them in. You don't want them to be like, oh yeah, this person had, they like to play the violin, they do some community service, but I don't really remember if they were trying to do it for economics or whether or not they actually just want to make a lot of money. They want to know, okay, like, how do I talk about this person in a really straightforward way? See ya, everyone.